The world does not play fair. It never has. And it never will. From the moment you step into real life, you're told a lie so sweet that it feels like truth. You're told that honesty is always rewarded, that hard work guarantees success, that being a good person protects you from betrayal, that if you follow the rules, the world will meet you halfway. But reality doesn't work like that. Reality doesn't care about your intentions. Reality doesn't care about your effort. Reality only responds to understanding. You can be the most honest person in the room and still get betrayed by someone you trusted. You can be the most skilled, the most disciplined, the most qualified, and still watch someone less capable take your place. You can play by every rule, follow every instruction, and still lose to someone who understood the game better than you. That's not bad luck. That's not injustice. That's how power works. Most people spend their entire lives confused by this. They keep asking the same question: why does this keep happening to me? Why do people take advantage of me? Why am I always overlooked? Why do dishonest people win while I struggle? And because they don't understand the answer, they repeat the same mistakes again and again until bitterness replaces hope. But a small percentage of people respond differently. They don't complain. They don't break down. They don't beg the world to be kinder. They adapt. They observe. They study patterns. They accept uncomfortable truths most people are too afraid to face. And that's where dangerous intelligence is born. Not in classrooms. Not in motivational speeches. But in betrayal. In humiliation. In loss. Because pain does something important. If you let it. Pain strips away illusions. When you're betrayed for the first time, something changes inside you. You realize loyalty isn't guaranteed. When you're replaced despite your effort, you realize merit alone isn't enough. When someone smiles to your face and stabs you in the back, you realize people are more complex and more self-interested than you were taught. Some people collapse under this realization. They become bitter, angry, cynical. They shut down emotionally or lash out blindly. But others become aware. They stop reacting emotionally. They stop trusting blindly. They stop assuming good intentions are enough. They begin to think strategically. This is where Machiavelli begins to make sense. For centuries, his ideas were labeled as evil, immoral, ruthless. But Machiavelli was not teaching cruelty, he was exposing reality. He wasn't telling people how the world should be. He was explaining how the world actually is when power, fear, ambition, and survival are involved. And that's what makes these lessons dangerous. Because once you see reality clearly, you can never unsee it. You start noticing things others miss. You notice how people treat you differently when they think they can use you. You notice how respect appears when you stop chasing approval. You notice how silence makes people uncomfortable, and how discomfort makes them reveal more than they should. You notice how morality is often used as a mask for weakness, not virtue. This isn't pessimism. This is clarity. The world is not divided into good people and bad people. It's divided into aware people and unaware people. The unaware live reactively. They trust too fast, speak too much, reveal too much, and hope for the best. They believe fairness will save them. The aware live deliberately. They choose what to reveal. They observe before acting. They understand incentives. They understand fear. They understand that power is not about force, it's about leverage. And here's the brutal truth most people never accept. Being nice without intelligence doesn't make you good. It makes you exposed. The world doesn't punish you for being bad. It punishes you for being naive. That's why this video exists. Not to turn you into a villain. Not to make you cruel. But to make you dangerously smart. Because there is a difference between being ruthless and being prepared. Ruthlessness without ethics creates destruction. Ethics without strategy creates victims. And most people are victims without realizing it. They overshare their plans and wonder why someone blocks them. They show loyalty to people who haven't earned it. They argue emotionally instead of positioning strategically. They fight to be right instead of fighting to win. They play checkers in a world that rewards chess players. Every move they make is visible. Every intention is obvious. Every weakness is exposed. And then they're shocked when someone smarter takes advantage of it. Dangerously smart people move differently. They don't rush. They don't explain themselves unnecessarily. They don't react to every provocation. They don't reveal their full hand. They understand something most people never learn. Power doesn't announce itself. It positions itself. And that's exactly what these ruthless lessons are about. They are not about hurting people. They are about not being hurt. They are not about domination. They are about self-preservation. Because in a world where manipulation exists, refusing to understand it doesn't make you moral, it makes you vulnerable. Think about it. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest one. It's not the angriest one. It's not the one making threats. It's the quiet one watching everyone else talk. The one who understands motivations. The one who knows when to move and when to wait. Dangerous intelligence is quiet. It doesn't seek attention. It doesn't need validation. It waits. And when the moment comes, it acts decisively. If you've ever felt used, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever watched less capable people rise while you were ignored, if you've ever wondered why doing the right thing didn't protect you, then this video is not entertainment. It's a wake-up call. Because the goal isn't to become heartless. The goal is to stop being helpless. You don't need to become evil to survive. You need to become aware. You need to understand that intelligence isn't just knowledge. It's timing, restraint, perception, and leverage. And once you understand that, you stop being predictable. You stop being manipulable. You stop being easy to replace. You become someone people think twice about crossing. Not because you threaten them, but because they sense something different. Control. Clarity. That's what makes someone dangerously smart. And in the next sections, you're going to learn the exact lessons Machiavelli revealed, not to rule others, but to master yourself in a world that rewards those who see reality for what it truly is. Niccolò Machiavelli was not a monster. He was not a villain. He was not teaching people how to be evil. He was teaching people how to see clearly. Machiavelli lived in a world where power decided everything. Governments fell overnight. Allies betrayed each other without warning. Leaders who relied on kindness were destroyed by those who relied on strategy. Survival was not guaranteed by virtue, it was guaranteed by awareness. And Machiavelli noticed something uncomfortable. The people who claimed to be moral were often the first to betray. The people who spoke about honor were often the most ruthless behind closed doors. The people who pretended the world was fair were usually the ones benefiting from its unfairness. So he did something dangerous. He told the truth. Not the polite truth. Not the comforting truth. But the functional truth. Machiavelli understood that there are two worlds people live in. The first is the world of ideals, how people say things should work. The second is the world of reality, how things actually work when power, fear, ego, and survival collide. Most people confuse the two. And that confusion makes them weak. Machiavelli didn't ask, what is morally perfect? He asked, what actually works? That single shift in thinking is what makes his philosophy dangerous and timeless. Because the truth is this: people are not rational. They are emotional, self-interested, fearful, and inconsistent. They say one thing and do another. They promise loyalty until incentives change. They support you until supporting you becomes inconvenient. And if you build your life assuming people will always act honorably, you are building on sand. Machiavelli didn't hate people for this. He accepted it. And acceptance is power. He understood that human behavior follows patterns. Once you see those patterns, you stop being surprised and start being prepared. One of Machiavelli's core insights was perception. He understood that reality is less important than how reality is perceived. People don't respond to truth. They respond to appearance. They don't follow the most moral leader. They follow the one who looks strong. They don't respect honesty. They respect confidence and control. This is why Machiavelli famously said that it's safer to be feared than loved, not because fear is noble, but because fear is reliable. Love depends on emotion. Fear depends on consequence. And people abandon emotion much faster than they abandon self-preservation. This doesn't mean Machiavelli promoted cruelty. It means he understood incentives. Most people don't do what's right. They do what's rewarded or what prevents punishment. If you ignore this, you become predictable. And predictability is weakness. Another uncomfortable truth Machiavelli exposed is this. People judge you by outcomes, not intentions. You can mean well and still be considered a failure. You can be ruthless and still be respected if you deliver results. This is why naive people are shocked when they're punished for good intentions. They believe effort should be enough. But power doesn't care how hard you tried. It cares whether you succeeded. Machiavelli saw leaders fall because they clung to moral purity while others played strategically. He saw good men destroyed because they refused to adapt to reality. And he realized something most people never want to admit. A person who refuses to understand darkness will always be controlled by those who do. This is not a call to embrace evil. This is a call to understand it. Because darkness doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It just moves in silence. Machiavelli also understood the danger of emotional decision-making. Most people react. They don't calculate. They get angry and reveal too much. They feel insulted and make impulsive moves. They feel threatened and overcorrect. Emotion makes you visible. Visibility makes you vulnerable. Strategic people, on the other hand, pause. They observe. They let others expose themselves. This is why Machiavelli emphasized patience, timing, and restraint. Power is not about acting first. It's about acting at the right moment. Another key part of the Machiavellian worldview is adaptability. Machiavelli believed rigidity was fatal. The world changes. People change. Alliances shift. Those who cling to a single identity, a single strategy, or a single moral posture eventually break. But those who adapt survive. He compared strong leaders to water, able to flow, reshape, and adjust without losing essence. Not fake, but flexible. Not dishonest, but strategic. And here's the most misunderstood part of Machiavelli's philosophy. He believed leaders should be both feared and respected, but never hated. Fear without hatred creates control. Hatred creates rebellion. This distinction matters. Machiavelli was not promoting oppression. He was promoting stability. He understood that power must be balanced. Push too hard and people resist. Be too soft and people exploit you. Most people fail because they swing to extremes. They're either too aggressive or too passive. Too open or too closed. Too moral or too ruthless. Machiavelli operated in the gray. And that gray area is where real intelligence lives. The modern world pretends this philosophy is outdated. It tells you to just be yourself, trust people, and be positive. But the rules haven't changed, only the battlefield has. Offices replaced palaces. Politics replaced warfare. Social dynamics replaced armies. But power still follows the same laws. Perception still controls influence. Fear still outperforms hope. Strategy still beats sincerity. And the people who quietly understand this rise, while others remain confused. This is why Machiavelli still makes people uncomfortable, because he forces you to confront a choice. You can live in the world as you wish it were, or you can live in the world as it is, but you can't do both. And once you see the world clearly, you face a responsibility. You must decide how to use that awareness. You can use it to manipulate or to protect, to dominate or to defend, to exploit or to navigate safely. That's why this worldview matters. It's not about becoming heartless. It's about becoming uncontrollable. Because the most dangerous thing in any system is a person who understands how it works but refuses to be ruled by illusions. Machiavelli didn't teach people to be monsters. He taught them to stop being victims. And in the next section, we'll take this worldview and turn it into something practical. A clear framework that breaks down ruthless intelligence into lessons you can recognize, apply, and control without losing yourself. Before we go any further, something must be made absolutely clear. Knowledge itself is not evil, but knowledge without boundaries can become destructive. Machiavellian intelligence is one of the most misunderstood forms of wisdom, not because it is wrong, but because it is powerful. And anything powerful demands discipline. Most people, when they first encounter ruthless ideas, react in one of two extreme ways. The first group becomes afraid. They say, "This thinking is immoral. This is manipulation. This is dark." They reject it completely and remain exposed. The second group becomes intoxicated. They hear about power, control, and strategy, and they want to dominate, manipulate, and win at all costs. Both groups miss the point. Machiavelli was not writing a manual for cruelty. He was writing a survival guide for reality. And survival requires ethics just as much as strategy. Let's draw a hard line here. Understanding manipulation does not mean you should manipulate. Understanding deception does not mean you should deceive. Understanding power does not mean you should abuse it. It means you are no longer blind. Blindness is dangerous, not just to others, but to yourself. Because the truth is uncomfortable. If you refuse to understand ruthless behavior, you don't eliminate it. You simply make yourself its easiest target. Ethical framing is what separates strategic intelligence from predatory behavior. Predators seek to exploit weakness. Strategists seek to eliminate vulnerability. There is a difference. Most people are raised with a flawed moral equation. Good people are honest. Honest people are safe. This sounds comforting, but it is false. History doesn't reward innocence. It rewards awareness. Good intentions do not protect you from people who don't share them. And here's the painful reality most people learn too late. You can be ethical and still be destroyed. If you are naive about power, ethics without strategy is fragility. At the same time, strategy without ethics is chaos. That's why Machiavellian intelligence must be grounded in self-control. True power is not the ability to dominate others. True power is the ability to not need to. If someone uses these ideas to manipulate, harm, or exploit, it reveals something important. They were already unethical. They just lacked the vocabulary before. Knowledge does not corrupt character, it reveals it. This is why ethical framing matters. You must ask yourself an uncomfortable question. Why do I want this knowledge? Is it to feel superior? Is it to control people? Is it to take revenge? Or is it to stop being played, used, or blindsided? Intent matters. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous leaders were not the openly cruel ones, but the ones who believed they were virtuous while causing harm. Self-righteousness is more destructive than ruthlessness. That's why awareness must come with humility. The moment you believe you are smarter than everyone else, you become predictable. And predictability is weakness. Ethical Machiavellianism is not about becoming heartless. It's about becoming hard to deceive. It teaches you to pause instead of react, to observe instead of assume, to calculate instead of explode emotionally. These are not immoral traits. They are stabilizing ones. One of the greatest lies modern culture tells is that morality means transparency. It doesn't. You are not obligated to reveal everything you think, feel, or plan. Privacy is not dishonesty. Silence is not manipulation. Sometimes, withholding information is the most ethical move, especially when revealing it would cause unnecessary harm. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are responsibility. Another key ethical distinction is this. Defense is not aggression. Learning how people manipulate does not mean you must manipulate back. It means you recognize the tactic early and disengage. Just like learning self-defense does not make you violent, it makes you safer. Machiavellian awareness works the same way. It sharpens perception. You start noticing patterns. Who flatters to control? Who promises to delay? Who creates guilt to extract compliance? Who plays victim to avoid accountability? Once you see these patterns, you stop reacting emotionally. And when emotional reactions disappear, manipulation loses its power. That is ethical use of ruthless knowledge. Another boundary Machiavelli himself emphasized was proportionality. Overreaction creates enemies. Underreaction invites exploitation. Ethical strategy is balanced. You don't crush every challenge. You don't ignore every threat. You respond appropriately, no more, no less. Most people fail here. They either escalate too fast, driven by ego, or they tolerate too much, driven by fear. Both extremes are unethical, because both create unnecessary damage. Self-mastery is the ethical core of Machiavellian intelligence. If you cannot control your impulses, you have no right to control outcomes. If you cannot manage your emotions, power will corrupt you. That's why Machiavelli valued restraint. He understood that visible anger weakens authority. Visible desperation invites attack. Calm, measured behavior creates uncertainty, and uncertainty commands respect. Ethics also means understanding long-term consequences. Short-term wins achieved through cruelty destroy long-term stability. Trust, once broken recklessly, is nearly impossible to rebuild. Machiavelli warned against becoming hated, not out of kindness, but wisdom. Hatred mobilizes resistance. Resentment accumulates quietly. Ethical power avoids unnecessary enemies. Up to this point, we've talked about reality, power, ethics, and boundaries. But now comes the most important shift, moving from philosophy to framework. Because ruthless intelligence is not about memorizing quotes. It's about training how you see, interpret, and respond. This is where most people fail. They hear dark ideas. They feel enlightened for a moment. Then they return to old habits, emotional reactions, blind trust, impulsive decisions. Because they never received a system. So before we break down the 8 ruthless lessons, you need to understand the mental framework behind them. Otherwise, these lessons will sound impressive, but won't change how you move in the world. Let's be clear about one thing. These 8 lessons are not tricks. They are lenses. Each lesson trains you to notice something most people ignore. And when you combine all 8, something dangerous happens. You stop being predictable. The core divide, victims versus survivors. Machiavelli observed a fundamental divide in human behavior. Not between good and bad. Not between rich and poor. But between those who understand power and those who don't. Victims believe the world should be fair. Survivors understand the world is strategic. Victims ask, why would someone do this to me? Survivors ask, what incentive made this predictable? This framework exists to shift you from the first mindset to the second. Not to make you cold, but to make you prepared. Observers versus reactors. Most people live in reaction mode. Something happens, emotion triggers, response explodes. This is exactly how manipulators win. The 8 lessons train you to become an observer first. Observers don't rush. Observers don't explain themselves unnecessarily. Observers let patterns reveal intent. Reaction feels powerful, but it is weakness. Control begins when you delay response. Every lesson in this framework strengthens that delay. Chess versus checkers thinking. Naive thinking is linear. If I'm honest, they'll be honest. If I work hard, I'll be rewarded. If I'm loyal, they'll protect me. Strategic thinking is layered. If I do this, how might it be interpreted? What does this person gain? What happens if circumstances change? Machiavelli didn't see life as checkers, simple, obvious moves. He saw it as chess. And in chess, every move reveals intention. Every silence communicates something. Every pattern matters. The 8 lessons are chess principles for real life. Why 8 lessons? Not more, not less. Too few lessons oversimplify reality. Too many lessons create confusion. 8 is intentional. Each lesson addresses one core vulnerability in human behavior. Trust, fear, perception, timing, loyalty, power, emotion, control. Remove even one, and the system weakens. Together, they form a closed loop, meaning each lesson reinforces the others. This is why understanding one lesson without the rest can be dangerous. Partial awareness creates overconfidence. Complete frameworks create restraint. The repeating internal structure. Every lesson follows the same internal logic. This is critical, because repetition builds instinct. Each lesson will answer 6 core questions. What most people believe. Why that belief is dangerous. What Machiavelli observed instead. How this plays out in real life. What strategic people do differently. Where the ethical boundary lies. This consistency trains your mind to analyze situations automatically. Over time, you stop asking, what should I feel? and start asking, what is actually happening? That shift is ruthless intelligence. From emotion to pattern recognition. Emotion narrows perception. Patterns expand it. Most people judge events in isolation. Strategic thinkers look for repetition. Who consistently avoids accountability? Who becomes generous only when they need something? Who disappears when risk appears? The lessons sharpen this pattern recognition. And once patterns are visible, outcomes stop feeling random. Randomness is comforting because it removes responsibility. Patterns are uncomfortable because they demand awareness. Why this framework feels uncomfortable? Let's be honest. These lessons will challenge how you see yourself. You may realize you trusted too quickly. You revealed too much. You ignored warning signs. You reacted emotionally when silence would have protected you. This discomfort is not failure. It's calibration. Machiavelli believed growth begins when illusion collapses. The ego resists this. The mind defends old narratives. That's why most people reject frameworks like this, not because they're wrong, but because they remove comforting lies. Power is neutral, use is not. One critical reminder before we proceed. This framework does not force behavior. It expands choice. You are not required to act ruthlessly. You are required to see clearly. Clarity gives you options. Engage or disengage. Confront or wait. Reveal or withhold. Lack of clarity removes choice. That's why ignorance feels peaceful until it becomes costly. Why most people will never use this framework. Not because it's complex, but because it demands discipline. It requires emotional restraint, patience, willingness to be misunderstood, comfort with silence. Most people prefer expression over control. They want to be seen, heard, validated. Strategic intelligence is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need approval. That's why those who practice it often appear calm while others panic. The shift you should expect. As you go through these lessons, expect 3 internal changes. Reduced emotional volatility. Increased tolerance for ambiguity. Sharper judgment of intent. You won't become paranoid. You'll become precise. You won't distrust everyone. You'll trust selectively. You won't become ruthless. You'll become hard to corner. This is not about winning every situation. This is important. The goal is not constant victory. The goal is avoiding unnecessary loss. Machiavelli understood that power is conserved by knowing when not to play. Sometimes the smartest move is invisibility. Sometimes it's delay. Sometimes it's withdrawal. These lessons teach timing, not aggression. A final warning before we begin. Once you understand these lessons, you cannot unsee them. You will notice subtle manipulation, performative morality, strategic silence, calculated kindness. This awareness can feel isolating, but it also gives you something rare. Stability. While others react, you assist. While others panic, you observe. While others overshare, you choose silence. That is the mindset this framework builds. In the next section, we move from structure to substance, breaking down each of the 8 ruthless lessons, one by one, with clarity, realism, and control. This is where theory becomes dangerously practical. Now the theory ends. This is where awareness becomes dangerous. Because from this point forward, you're not just listening, you're learning how to decode people, situations, and power dynamics in real time. These are not motivational ideas. These are operational principles. Each lesson strips away one illusion that keeps people weak. And the first illusion Machiavelli destroys is this. Lesson 1. Never confuse words with intent. Most people listen to what others say. Strategic thinkers watch what others do. Words are cheap. Intent is revealed through behavior, especially under pressure. People promise loyalty when it costs nothing. They show loyalty when it costs something. Naive individuals mistake eloquence for honesty. Machiavellian intelligence separates language from motive. When someone speaks, ask what they gain. Ask what they risk. Ask what they avoid. Intent hides in incentives, not in sentences. This lesson alone would save most people from betrayal, if they applied it consistently. Ethical boundary. Observation is not judgment. You are not labeling people as evil, you are removing blind trust. Lesson 2. Power respects strength, not morality. This is uncomfortable, but real. People respect boundaries, confidence, and consequence far more than kindness alone. Kindness without strength invites exploitation. Strength with restraint earns respect. Machiavelli never said morality is useless. He said morality without leverage is ignored. In workplaces, relationships, and politics, the person who can walk away holds power. Not because they are cruel, but because they are not dependent. Dependence weakens negotiation. Independence commands it. Ethical boundary. Strength is not intimidation. It is the quiet knowledge that you don't need approval to survive. Lesson 3. Fear is more reliable than love, but must be controlled. Love is emotional. Fear is biological. People may stop loving you when emotions change. They rarely stop avoiding consequences. This does not mean terrorize people. It means establish predictable boundaries. Unpredictable punishment creates hatred. Consistent consequence creates order. Machiavelli understood this distinction deeply. Ethical boundary. Never aim to be hated. Fear should be mild, controlled, and impersonal, like rules, not rage. Lesson 4. Appear weak when you are strong. Visibility attracts challenge. When people know your full capability, they prepare against you. When they underestimate you, they expose themselves. Strategic silence is a weapon. Oversharing feels honest, but it removes advantage. Machiavelli believed restraint protected power. Ethical boundary. Privacy is not deception. You owe no one full access to your thoughts, plans, or limits. Lesson 5. Timing matters more than action. Most people act fast to feel in control. Strategic thinkers wait to gain control. Impulse satisfies emotion. Timing wins outcomes. Reacting too early reveals fear. Acting too late reveals weakness. Power lives in the pause. This lesson trains patience, one of the rarest forms of strength. Ethical boundary. Delay is not avoidance. It is discipline. Lesson 6. Loyalty is tested, not assumed. People don't reveal loyalty through words, they reveal it when risk appears. True allies remain when there is cost. False allies vanish when convenience disappears. Machiavelli trusted patterns, not promises. Ethical boundary. Testing loyalty is not manipulation. It is self-protection. Lesson 7. Control yourself before you try to control outcomes. Emotional leakage is vulnerability. Anger reveals pressure points. Desperation signals weakness. Ego invites exploitation. Self-control is the foundation of all power. If someone can provoke you, they can steer you. Ethical boundary. Control is internal first. External dominance without inner discipline collapses. Lesson 8. Be prepared to act against your nature, when necessary. This is the hardest lesson. Being consistently nice or harsh makes you predictable. Adaptability is survival. Sometimes kindness works. Sometimes firmness is required. Machiavelli believed rigid identity was fatal. Ethical boundary. Adaptation is not betrayal of self. It is respect for reality. The final integration. These lessons are not meant to turn you cold. They are meant to turn you clear. Clear thinking reduces conflict. Clear boundaries reduce betrayal. Clear perception reduces regret. The real danger is not becoming ruthless. The real danger is remaining naive in a strategic world. In the next section, we'll explore how these lessons change your internal operating system, how they reshape your thinking, decision-making, and emotional responses over time. That's where ruthless intelligence becomes stable intelligence.